Tonight, we welcome the lovely Lisa Holmen. Now, I've got her bio here, so I'm just going to read it out, so bear with me. Lisa has a lay background in the paranormal world and has been investigating for nearly 15 years. Lisa has been a member of the Jamaica Inn Paranormal team for 7 years and is also a member of the South Bristol Paranormal. Her main interest in the paranormal is studying the power of suggestion and implementation. Or is that implantation?
Implantation.
Implantation. Lisa is a published author, having published 3 non-paranormal fiction books and several diaries and planners. Recently, I welcomed Lisa to the family of Most Haunted, the magazine, because she's recently added to her portfolio by having internationally published articles within Haunted magazine and a feature also in Woman's Own. In addition to being a businesswoman working in accounting, she is a partner in an advisory company with Lorien Jones and Corinne Besant, following her strict code of ethics and integrity. Previous to this, she's had her own soft furnishings company, but she had to close that due to a cancer diagnosis and journey that she will go into in a little bit more detail later. So this evening, Lisa, welcome to ASSAP. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's lovely that you're here this evening to join me. So firstly, I would like to say thank you to Caroline McKendrick, who on behalf of ASSAP has invited me to speak with you this evening. I'd also like to thank all of you for attending. We all lead such busy lives, so the fact that you've taken some time out of yours to listen to me means the absolute world. I hope I won't bore you too much tonight, but I do have a lot to get off my chest. So a lot of you won't know who I am. I have never been one to shout from the rafters or put my head above the parapet, letting everyone know that I'm here. I've always been more than happy to toodle along in the background, doing my own thing. As Caroline's already mentioned, I have been involved in the paranormal community for nearly 15 years, which when I look back, it's been an amazing 15 years. I am a member of South Bristol Paranormal and also a team member for the Jamaica Inn Paranormal team. My initiation into the paranormal community, investigating, back then we called it ghost hunting, but we don't really hunt ghosts because how is that possible? Was much the same as everyone else's, I would assume. You scour the internet for an event company who is hosting a local event. You buy your tickets and then you wait with trepidation for the date to arrive. I was so excited. The day was finally here, my first ever ghost hunt. Could not wait. I was absolutely convinced that I would find the life-altering proof that life after death absolutely does exist. So armed with my brand new camera, I tottered off to my first investigation. And I am absolutely ashamed to admit, I believe that absolutely everything was paranormal. Orbs. It has to be a ghost. It has to be someone trying to manifest into a humanoid form. It has to be. No other reason for it. Because look, if you magnify 50,000 times, you can see a face. Knocks, taps and bangs. Undoubtedly, it is a person from the medieval period trying to communicate with me. All of a sudden, after passing, they can now understand the modern English language. Drafts, it has to be a ghost. What other possible explanation could there be? We are in a haunted building and all these amazing things have happened. It must be a ghost. 15 years of investigating and accumulating knowledge and experience, I now know that orbs are just dust particles that have been picked up by the camera's flash. The face that I presumed I could see inside the orb was a mix of pixelization of the image and pareidolia. I was absolutely gutted. I could have sworn I picked up the image of Elvis, including his gyrating hips. Knocks, taps and bangs, whilst in some areas they could be construed as paranormal, especially if it's an intelligent response to a question that has been asked. Knock once for yes and twice for no. We all know the procedure. However, I now know, looking back on my first investigation, it was simply the heating system groaning in complaint and the pipes contracting as they cooled, as the heating system had been turned off some hours earlier. The drafts, possibly someone moving around beside you that you haven't been aware of, distorting the air around them. The building is also cooling down, which can have the knock-on effect of your body cooling down. So you may all of a sudden feel colder, thinking you're feeling a draft. The most common reason, someone's left the bloody window open. Even a light bulb can make a ping or a tap when it's cooled down, especially the old-fashioned filament light bulbs. What about if you hear a growl or smell sulfur? Must be a demon. It's got to be a demon. Nope. Someone needs to eat less curries before an investigation. We all know that we spend our time investigating in the dark, so we have removed the sight sensation. We all know that we are listening intently to the slightest movement or noise or tap or anything that could be construed as paranormal. You've removed one sense and you're concentrating on another sense, which means that what you're hearing can be misconstrued. For instance, someone may hear a tap or a bang, and someone else has heard a car door close, because we all think differently. Over the years, I have learnt to debunk from listening from more seasoned investigators than myself, and with rational thinking, I now know I will probably never, ever discover the truth of life after death. Does it stop me loving the paranormal? Absolutely not. Does it make me want to find a hobby with more sociable hours? I think my husband would like that, but sorry, Simon, no, it's never going to happen. Some investigators, once they realise that they're never going to find the discerning proof of life after death, they lose their excitement, they lose their spark, and then they gradually leave the paranormal field, which I think is a great shame. Imagine if they continued, how far further along with the research we'd be. Do I believe in life after death? The jury is really out on this one. I've certainly become more sceptical over the years, and I discount a lot more than I used to. What I've said so far is probably no news to any of you. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. What keeps me going at the paranormal I absolutely love is the fantastic venues that we get to investigate. How lucky are we to hire a castle, a medieval manor house, or even a historic hotel? That, topped with spending time with your paranormal family, is there anything better to do with your time? So I've been a part of the Jamaican paranormal team for about 7 years. It's a role I fell into after another investigator was poorly and couldn't attend. What I absolutely love is seeing the guests' excitement when they believe that they have witnessed something paranormal. It reminds me how far I have come and how far I still have to go. If any of you have been to the Jamaica and investigated with us, you will know that we run realistic investigations. We tell all of our guests to forget what they have seen on the TV because it's purely for entertainment purposes. Nothing is staged, and we explain how easily it is to prime people. A few years ago, I used to run an experiment saying to a guest, if you are feeling brave enough, stand in that doorway. When you finish, come and find me and tell me what you found, but only if you are brave enough. 9 times out of 10, someone will come up to me and they will say, I did that and I really didn't like it. There's something really, really horrible there. Seeing their crestfallen faces when I explain to them that what I've done is implanted and given them the power of suggestion that if they're brave, they may witness something. So by saying the words, if you are brave enough, they're automatically, their heckles go up and they want to be the big brave person. Telling them that there's nothing paranormal there. There's never ever been any reports of any form of paranormal activity in that area. It's not a nice feeling, but it shows them, rather than explaining to them, how easy it is, and for the power of suggestion. The experiments we run at the Jamaica Inn, we do the human pendulum, the Ouija board, and even just something as basic as a pad and pen and writing down the creaking and bangs and the noise of the building settling. And we do everything in between. What fascinates me with these experiments is when the guests answer time and time again the correct answers. There's no way they can have the answers to these questions that we ask them to ask, because it's not something that we release to the public domain. Are they forming something like psychokinesis, where they're rifling through someone's memories like the filing cabinet? I wouldn't recommend they do it to me, because you never know what you're going to find. I live about 4.5, 5 hour drive from the Jamaica Inn. Me and Corinne, we travelled down together after I've met her house. So on one of these trips back, and after the coaching group had bought the Jamaica Inn, we realised the amount of amazing, historic and reportedly haunted locations that they have on their books. After meeting with Matt Charity, we came up with the agreement that we would start approaching these hotels and bring them into the paranormal community. Thus began the birth of our company, Paranormal Consultant. There are 3 of us in the company. Laurie Jones is an amazingly talented historical writer. She has the ability to bring history to life through her writings. If you want to divulge yourself and immerse yourself into a historic story, I would definitely recommend seeking her out. And then Corinne Besant, I'm sure she doesn't need any introduction, because anyone that knows her knows that this woman can talk for England. Seriously, never, ever, ever give this woman your phone number, ever, because trust me, just don't. I'm not even going to go into it, just don't. And then there's me. As I've already said, I'm a businesswoman. I've got a head for figures. So the 3 of us together, we each bring our own individual and unique talent to the business, and it's blossoming. I am so proud to be able to tell you that so far to date, we have brought these fantastic venues to the paranormal community. The Talbot Hotel in Oundle. It dates back to the 1500s. It has links to Mary Queen of Scots and Fotheringhay Castle. Reportedly, Mary Queen of Scots' executioner stayed at the Talbot Hotel the night before he executed her. The Old Vicarage Hotel is in Bridgewater. It is the 2nd oldest surviving building, which was initially 5 houses. The only building that predates this by just over 100 years is St Mary's Church opposite. Pengenna Manor is an 800-year-old manor house in Cornwall. It has been in Richard Blewett's family for 154 years. It is a fantastic wedding venue, and they've newly discovered Iron Age fort at the top of the hill. Bath Theatrical Costume Hire is in Frome, which is in Somerset. In this building, there are 30,000 costumes, some of which are authentic military uniforms which have been donated by ex-servicemen and their family. If you ever wondered whether psychometry is a thing, this is definitely the venue you need to go to see if inanimate objects retain the memories of their owners. Also within this building, there's an original Victorian dress, which is handmade, and the stitching is absolutely incredible. Next to this dress, as part of this dress day, is a photo of the bride wearing it. She has the tiniest waist. I don't think my thigh would even fit in the dress. And a receipt for the tailor who originally made it, who is based in the Orkney Islands. This is Warmley Clock Tower, and it is in South Bristol. Corinne has been advising this venue for 8 years. Following her excellent example and her tireless approach to volunteering her time for nothing for the good of the paranormal community, I really wanted to give something back. So I have been in the process of building a new website for them. It's nearly there, just a few more pages that need adding and a bit of tweaking. But this venue is absolutely amazing. It's a community hub for the whole community in Warmley. When Corinne was first in talks with them all those years ago, they didn't have enough funds to keep the doors open. Now, through the help of the paranormal hire, they have money in the bank. They have been able to maintain this beautiful building and decorate it, and they've just installed a brand new stair lift which goes up to the second floor. So, subject of this evening is ParaUnity, what it currently means, and what I wish it meant. How do we change the narrative? When you say the word ParaUnity, what does it mean to you? This is what Google thinks. Google never lies, by the way. It always tells the truth. It recognises that the paranormal field is diverse and multifaceted. Each team brings unique perspectives and insights to the table. By fostering this culture of inclusivity and understanding, ParaUnity should encourage teams to share their knowledge, resources, and experiences without judgment or negativity. Does it though? In the 15 years I have been investigating, I've witnessed catfights, nastiness, stalking, and ridicule. There are groups set up for this prime reason, to ridicule and stalk other teams and individuals. The perpetrators do this just for fun. They get their kicks off of it. They face no consequences, and they don't seem to care about the consequences their actions have. They throw the word ParaUnity around with no real thought to what it should actually mean. There are some groups and individuals that are desperate to be the next big thing. They create a clickbait culture. They fake evidence, scream and jump at the slightest thing. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this, because it's purely for entertainment purposes. What is wrong is when they garner fans' approval and they encourage their fans to take sides and launch hate campaigns against individuals who they have asked for their opinions on paranormal activity, instead of listening to others who may have more experience or a different viewpoint. They take it as a personal attack, and then they start the hate campaign with their fans taking their sides. In the background, they maintain that they are the victim, and they sow crops of negativity. Narcissism should have no place in the paranormal. You need to accept that people's opinions may be different to yourself, to your own. They may explain and debunk things in a different format from science or psychology based. They can be harassed and hounded, the individuals and their fan base. How many of us have stopped offering our expertise for the fear of repercussions? I myself opened myself up to a hate campaign, and I was ridiculed by a paranormal investigator and their fans purely for commenting on AVP that I couldn't understand what he meant. How can we change the field and make it better if we subject others to subjugation? I believe we have the potential to strive for improvement, to end the hatred and the one-upmanship that's permeated every facet of the paranormal community. We listen to others' opinions without taking it as a personal attack or launching a hate campaign. Remember, for every person that agrees with you, there'll be one or more that doesn't. But it's okay. We don't all have to agree with each other. Can you imagine how amazing the world would be if we all felt and thought exactly the same? No more wars. This is a pipe dream. I totally understand it's a complete pipe dream. But wouldn't it be amazing? I'll hold my hands up. I am by no means perfect. I love a good gossip. Who doesn't? But if we ever stop to consider the impact of our words on the person we are talking about, with the grapevine and Chinese whispers playing their part, can we guarantee 100% that it will not get back to the person we've been discussing? Even a flippant remark can have devastating consequences. This is what dictionary.com thinks paranormal means. Of or relating to the claimed occurrence of an event or perception without scientific explanation, such as psychokinesis, extrasensory perception, or other purportedly supernatural phenomenon. Wonder how many of you know how old the word paranormal is? Actually, only 120 years old. It was first translated into English by Laura Finch in 1905 in this book, Metaphysical Phenomena Methods and Observations. For a word that is only 120 years old, which in the grand scheme of things, it's a baby, it has caused so much hatred and disharmony. So I digress. Let's go back to Google. So if we break it down, it recognises that the paranormal field is diverse and multifaceted. The paranormal is not just ghosts. Everyone thinks it's just about ghosts. It really isn't. You've got spirit communication, parapsychology, astral projection, energy fields and auras, ufology, and cryptozoology. Not mentioning the investigation techniques that are also diverse, and we all bring something different to the table through our own unique perspectives, whether our investigation method is belief-based, skeptical, or scientific. By fostering this culture of inclusivity and understanding, ParaUnity should encourage teams to share their knowledge, resources, and experiences without judgment or negativity. Unfortunately, I believe that this is where we are lacking. Thought it would be interesting to see what ChatGPT thinks ParaUnity means. This is what it thinks. Collaboration over competition. Shared knowledge. Credibility and respect. Support system. Bigger and better investigations. Encourages innovation. Fosters a positive community. Is this what we do? Really? All of us? Some of us? None of us. By coming together, teams coming together, we can investigate bigger venues, maybe get the evidence we're looking for. If we foster a positive community and approach everyone with respect, imagine how others would view the paranormal. It would no longer be a laughing stock. Perhaps we can learn something from AI after all. I'm not going to say let's jump on the be kind bandwagon. It's been said too much. It has lost its appeal and its momentum. Let's be better. Let's be accepting. I would imagine a lot of us are guilty of being less accepting at some points in our lives. How many of us have flipped the bird to a driver who's cut us up? Have we ever wondered what could be going on in the driver's life to cause that behaviour? Maybe they've lost a job or a loved one. We need to accept people's faults, and maybe they will accept ours. We need to accept that people may think or feel differently to what we do. We need to accept that maybe, just maybe, heaven forbid, we could be wrong. We need to accept the consequences of our actions. There's an old proverb, sow a field of friendship, reap a crop of friends. The same could be said in reverse. Sow a field of hatred, reap a crop of enemies. We need to accept when others are trying to educate us, whether we agree with them or not. We need to accept that we are all different, and we need to accept that ParaUnity may mean different things for different people. Through acceptance, I believe we can find true paranormality. True ParaUnity. Sorry, I forgot my teeth. Despite the word's negative implications, which I have touched on, it also can have a positive existence. My reasoning for this is when I faced the most challenging and traumatic experiences of my entire life. The friends that I had made in the paranormal community are who supported me and had my back 100%. September 2022, I was diagnosed with aggressive stage 4 breast cancer. I hate sympathy, and I was adamant that I would maintain and keep positive throughout it all. If someone is feeling sorry for you, it makes it harder. Shit happens. It's how you deal with it that forces the outcome. In total, I endured 6 chemotherapy sessions, 4 bouts of sepsis. After signing a DNR once, I had surgery and 10 courses of radiotherapy. When you put it on paper, it doesn't look that much. It's not such a big deal, really, when you actually write it down. But if we delve a little deeper, the things that I lost: my hair, myself, my identity, my mobility, 10 friends, an entire friendship group. Some things have returned and some have not, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. Shit happens. As you can see, my glorious self, my hair is growing back. It's different, but it's there. Maybe I should have brushed it before I took the photo, but hey ho, this is to show you how humour can help you through. My identity, I think and feel slightly differently to the way I did before. So I call my cancer my factory reset, turning a positive spin on something so negative. My mobility has taken a vacation. I'm hoping at some point it will board the correct flight and return to me in some form or another. The friends, they're gone through no fault of my own, and I suppose theirs really, either because they didn't know how to react to my news and how ill I actually was. So it's no one's fault, it's just what happens. I will forever grieve these friendships, but I cannot and will not forgive the hurt that their alienation caused me. That's enough of the negative stuff. Let's focus on the positive. What have I gained? I have discovered who my true friends are. This is a biggie. How many of us can put our hands on our hearts and say categorically, I know who my true friends are? I can. Thankfully, I now can. I have been given a second chance at life. I have stopped putting off all the things that I will do that later. I don't have time now. I'm going to do it later. There's something you're thinking of doing. Don't delay. Do it now, because you might not get a chance tomorrow. I've also noticed since my return to the Jamaica Inn, we have seen an increase in disabled guests. It's not that we didn't notice them before, they weren't there. But now it seems that, I'm not saying it's all to do with me, but in some respects, because we do tell the guests that we have a disabled member and the steps that the Jamaican have put in place for me to return, it has helped other people realise that they can do these things even if they have mobility issues. So all the way through, I faced my cancer with humour, as you can see from the previous slide. Not many people share those shocking photos, but I really don't care. I'm not that precious about myself. Some of you will recognise this fantastic gentleman. This is Alex Lowe, dressed as his character, Clinton Baptiste. Last year, I attended his show in Frome. What ensued was raucous laughter with myself and the audience after he invited me on stage, not realising that I am actually disabled. Walking to the stage and climbing on, he kept checking his watch, saying, "Come on, we haven't got all night." When I climbed on the stage and sat down, he said, "Come on then, what have you done to yourself?" Presuming that I'd say bad leg, bad back, sprained ankle. When I uttered the words cancer, his response was, "OF." I won't say it because I've been told I can't swear that much. I'm sorry. And at the end, all the audience thought that I was a plant because I said to him, "Do not be sorry, go with it, just do what you were going to do," because I want people to realise that you can still laugh. You're not laughing at me, you're laughing at cancer. And if we can change the narrative for that as well, that would be absolutely amazing. So about the time of my diagnosis, I started writing my cathartic journal. The primary reason of this is because one of my many faults is I bottle things up. I don't discuss how I'm feeling. I don't discuss what I'm thinking because no one's going to be interested anyway. I had a very Victorian upbringing. Even my own husband didn't know that I was writing this. I knew that I'd be facing the battle of my life. And I knew that the black dog would be barking at my heels before I knew it. And I did not want to give it another way in. I was so ill that I had to stop writing. I knew that to expect I would be feeling quite nauseous for a short time after the treatment. What I wasn't prepared for was being hit by a double-decker bus, a rubbish lorry, and the entire military tank regiment for Wiltshire. I set up a messenger page with my paranormal friends and family because I didn't want to be a stuck record on repeat, telling people over and over again what was going on with me. They were told no sympathy, humour, inappropriateness and insults because I'm weird and I find insults amusing. They did an absolutely fantastic job. and I still look at it today. This is ParaUnity, supporting each other, lifting people up and helping them. Without them giving me their strength and without their support, I don't think I would be here today. What is even more inspiring is when you consider our paranormal friends we may only see a few times a year, and that time is spent in a dark room asking an entity that you cannot see, hear or feel to touch you. So the fact that they did this and they really stepped up to the plate really means the absolute world. After I had finished my treatment and realizing how alienated I had felt going through it with some of my friends, I decided to continue writing. Last year, I published my journal, My Boob Tried to Kill Me. Since its publication, I have been on the Paranormal Path podcast, Haunted History Chronicles, which has had nearly 400,000 people listen to it, which I think is absolutely amazing. There is a potential 400,000 people that now know that there is no taboo subject when someone has been diagnosed with cancer. I have had an article published in March's Haunted magazine and a feature printed in Woman's Own. If the mental anguish it caused to complete this journal helps just one cancer patient not be alienated or helps their friends or family know how to support them, then it's done its task, and I am so pleased that I was able to complete it. My experience compels me to raise awareness to the hidden side effects going through treatment. I didn't realise how it affects your immunity and how ill you can be to the point of being hospitalisation and being asked to sign a do not resuscitate order. I just thought you're going to lose your hair and be a little bit nauseous. So I'm passionate about raising awareness, how you can cope with things. As I was going through treatment, I realised there's something lacking that I wasn't able to find, and that was a treatment diary. It's for anyone suffering a long-term illness, and it is a constant reminder of how far you have come. You may have been feeling bad last week, but look how great you're feeling now. So I created my Forget-Me-Not journal. My return to the paranormal happened earlier than what I ever expected it to, but Corinne, being the bulldog that she is, would not let me go and insisted that she would provide any support that I needed to get me back to the paranormal. I am so pleased that she did, because I don't think I'd be back investigating now. At the end of the evening, I stayed up all night because I was adamant that I'm not going to miss out, fear of missing out and all that. Our bedroom was at the top of a 2-story Jacobean stairs. It took 3 people to get me up those stairs. Again, ParaUnity. I had 1 person pulling me, 1 pushing me, and 1 lifting my feet. Corinne masterminded the belt loop technique, whereby you insert your finger in the back of said person's jeans belt loop and pull. It creates the biggest wedgie known to man and was so painful. You may be wondering why, considering all this, what I experienced, why do I not wait until my health returns so I can investigate as I used to? Why should I? If I can keep going and showing people that despite everything, you have the potential to keep doing what you enjoy doing and maintaining some form of life, then I'm going to keep doing it. I have brushed over my disability, so I am going to go into slightly more detail for you, just so you've got an idea of my trials and tribulations, as it were. So this is me, mobility scooter with a crash hat on, because my husband decided if I'm dangerous in a car, I'm going to be even more dangerous on a mobility scooter. Due to the type of cancer I had, my chemotherapy, I was double dosed. They did this to facilitate a favourable outcome, basically make sure I survive. The knock-on effect of this is nerve damage and muscle wastage. So actually, I cannot feel my feet at all. They don't exist. And my hands are hit and miss. Some days I can feel I have a slight sensation, generally not, and it's just really painful. So this has affected my mobility. I cannot walk unaided. And even then, I cannot walk far unaided, hence the mobility scooter. With the support of the paranormal community, I've been able to maintain my passion. I've scaled mountains that have been disguised as stairs, and they help when the most simplest of tasks has been unattainable, even if it means cutting my food. Again, this is ParaUnity. The Jamaican guests, they follow me around at my slow pace without grumbling, without complaint. We don't always divulge the circumstances around my disability, but if they ask, we will discuss it openly and freely. They open the doors for me and they bring me refreshments. Considering how worried I was that my new normal would affect their enjoyment of their evening, I'm completely humbled by how amazing they all are. I've started a cancer awareness support group for my local town because there wasn't one. Venues for disability access, they have the tick boxes. They say we've got accessible rooms, accessible bathrooms, but sometimes these areas are not accessible to get to. Once you're in them, it's fine, but to get to, they're not accessible. So I've a plan in place to implement that will make venues more open and more able to be accessible for anyone with a disability. So, listening to everything I've said this evening, what does ParaUnity mean to you? Is it time to change the narrative? What small change can you make today that can change the narrative for this excellent word? I would like to thank you all for listening to me.
Lisa, thank you so very much on behalf of ASSAP for a very moving and a very touching talk. You're incredible. Right. I just want to change the style of what we're looking at a minute. If you just bear with me, we go back to a gallery. There we go. I want to see all the beautiful faces and all the responses.
We'll return to that conversation in just a moment. But before we have an ask of you, we ask that you hit the like button here, we ask that you hit the subscribe button. Now the reason is, for you it is just a moment, but for us it really helps the algorithm find our content and other people find what really is deeply interesting to them.
Lisa, tell me, what was it that actually started you on the paranormal journey when you actually first had some kind of insight? I love finding this out about our guests. You know, where did it start?
I grew up in Ilfracombe. It's a little seaside town, and it was an Edwardian manor house. And it was haunted. We had George the Ghost, who would open and close the doors on command, which was, so I always grew up believing in the paranormal. And as you grow up, you believe less because other things fill your mind. And then it's only 15 years ago, my friend Crystal said, I'm going to do a investigation. Do you want to come with? I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. Nothing paranormal. I think the highlight of the evening was nearly running into an empty swimming pool when the piece of wood we bolted up on the door fell, the door slammed. You've never seen four grown middle-aged women bolt out of the room so quickly, screaming. So it was entertaining, definitely.
So, after you've had your 15 years within the paranormal community, can you think of one thing in particular that actually sits within, and this is my description now, that box that you have, that everything that can't be explained or debunked goes into that little box of the unexplainable? What do you have that highlights the most in your memory?
Let me think. So at the Jamaican again, is before I was part of the team. I've been down there numerous times, and me and my friend Crystal were staying in room 4, and it's the only room throughout the inn. I slept in all of them that I haven't been able to sleep because all night, every time I dropped off, my foot would be nudged, like waking me up, and I was just I was so tired. And that's the only room in the inn that I haven't slept in. And I've also seen an elderly lady in the gift shop there, and a little boy down the toilet, going towards the toilet block as well. So the majority of my paranormal experiences have been at the Jamaica Inn. I'm not sure if that's because that's where I spend the majority of my time when I'm investigating. But I just love it. I just love the field, and the people are just amazing.
You and I haven't really spoken about personal experiences too much within the Jamaica Inn because we're normally busy either having dinner or investigating when we're
Yes,
there.
yes.
I have never known anybody else to have the same thing happen in room 4.
No,
It's the only room I don't think that I would want to sleep in, being nudged the whole evening, being in that room
yeah,
and
yeah,
seeing the lady down in the gift shop, well, the toilets that used to be the toilet area.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really interesting to hear. That's the corroboration between the two of us, and I didn't know your experiences up until this point. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
We'll have to make a note of that and put it in the long list of research that we've got going on down there.
great Auntie Edith, also known as Corinne, she already
Yeah,
knows this because I screamed down the walkie-talkies, Corinne, Corinne, come here! I've got some woman singing at me in room 4.
yeah.
So she's aware of that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so despite the Jamaica Inn, because we know that you've got your fond affection for that,
Yeah.
whereabouts would you say, oh my God, this place is phenomenal?
I want to say Redcliffe Caves, in Bristol. I can't, looking back, because you can't investigate it anymore, unfortunately. But I've done it a few times over the years, going back 10 years maybe. And it just loops around on itself. So you can't get lost. But we got so lost. And the more lost we got, the darker. It's like the dark got darker. So that to me was just it's unexplainable, because how can the dark get darker when you've just come around this area and all of a sudden it's even darker now? Is it that your mind is playing tricks on you and you're lost, so you're starting to go into panic mode, and that exacerbates everything around you? So that place, and also Woodchester Mansion. I love Woodchester Mansion. Something down in the cellar. It's got a freaky feeling. I don't know if it's because I know spiders down there. I'm not scared of spiders, but when they say there's one that can kill you, that does make you a little bit scared, to be fair. So yeah, Woodchester Mansion I absolutely love as well.
Redcliffe Caves, were you on the same investigation that I was when Alan Parry came out with us?
Might have been.
That was his last investigation. See all these connections that I haven't made before tonight.
Yeah, possibly. Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a bizarre, phenomenal place, isn't it? I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we got in and investigated that. It's such a shame that you can't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Woodchester Mansion, for anyone else that doesn't know, what's the reported phenomena that's there?
So there's a golem-like figure in the cave, and not the cave. It's like a cave because it looks like a cave in the cellar. There has been reports of when you're looking from, it's not the kitchen, it's the cafeteria area where you sit with tea and cake when you've done the touristy thing, and you look out the door and there's the window, and there's been reports of like a candle flickering going up the stairs. But for that to happen, the person would have to be about 10 foot tall. So that's another report. Whistling, a lot of tapping and knocking goes on there as well. So it is a very interesting place.
Yeah, sounds it. I have only been once before. It's in an immense place, but it's kind of far away from me, so I don't tend to go to those kind of places as much as the more local ones. But for
Yeah.
anyone that wants to book to go and experience it, how can they do that?
So I believe it's through Chris Howley. I don't know his email address. Yeah, Corinne's nodding. It's Chris Howley. So just I would imagine just go onto their website, and they will have a tab there. Most places have tabs for the paranormal for how to hire. But you just email Chris and he sends you all the booking forms and things.
Brilliant, thank you. And obviously, if you want to go to Jamaica Inn, then you can contact Corinne Besant herself or the Jamaica Inn site
Yeah.
and go through the link there.
Yeah, so there's the paranormal tab on the Jamaica Inn website with the email address, and we've also got a Facebook page for Jamaica Inn ghost hunting page
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, so there's quite a few different ways of contacting us if you want to book the Jamaica Inn.
We're back there as a team of 20, hiring the whole building in January next year, and I hope you're going to be there.
Oh yeah, no, I will be there. I will definitely be there.
Excellent. So, my last thing that I'm going to talk to you before I hand you over to the lovely Christian is if you could implement one thing that helps to bring the paranormal community together, what would you do?
Get rid of hatred. I think there's too much hatred and bigotry and one-upmanship. Yeah, that's what I'd want to do. Just get rid of all the hatred. Start a conversation instead of starting an argument.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And, even if it's one person at a time, as you're saying that you've done to help your cancer journey, one person at a time will then spread one person at a time.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm very proud to call you a friend.
Oh, thank you.
And I am very proud, getting emotional now, to have gone through your journey with you, even though it was just a small part of it. But thank you again, Lisa, on behalf
really
of
appreciate
ASSAP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian, I'm getting emotional. Handing over to you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. That was, it's a very powerful, emotive story that you carried with us. And thank you very much for sharing that today. I mean, it's certainly not an easy story to share. As you said there, essentially you face almost exclusion in many ways because you're disabled. I've struggled with that. I used to run like a ghost tour in Nottingham, and I can remember there was a particular time where a gentleman wanted to come, and we crossed some rough terrain, and he had walking sticks, effectively, like the crutches.
Yeah.
When I put this tour together, I'd never considered that someone actually was disabled would come. It's not that I didn't think about it intentionally. I never thought of excluding anyone. But when I was faced with it, I actually felt like I was as embarrassed that I hadn't considered someone who couldn't do that. And that really got me thinking about, at that time, how do you make things inclusive more? So I faced that challenge at one point myself, not by any intention of doing so. Just it was the order of things happened, and it was really difficult. And I can imagine actually within paranormal, because I guess groups and organizations do fall into a little bit different. If you are a paranormal group, you're a gathering of friends, you share an interest and you want to go on a ghost hunt, or you want to go to a location that might be interesting. You might have a friend who has a disability getting up the stairs, for instance. How does that play into it if you're in a venue where the haunted activity is upstairs? Do you choose to ignore that person, or just say, hey, it's not for you this time? I mean, how do you find when that happens? Not to you, but how do you find you can address that, proactively?
So I think ultimately it has to be up to the individual who has the mobility issues. If they feel they are capable of doing it, then why shouldn't they? For instance, I was at a venue doing some filming, and I was told that the following, it was 2 days of filming, the second day we were going to be going down into the jail, which is underneath the castle in the Undercroft. The producer said, Lisa, I don't think you can do that one. I said, why can't I? Well, it's steep, and it's uneven, and it's slippery, and I don't think it'd be possible for you to do it. I know why he said that. He was thinking a health and safety nightmare coming up. So I just said to him, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to have a look. If I feel that I am unable to do it, I will tell you, and I won't do it. I looked at it and thought, oh, that's a bit steep. Bugger it. I'm doing it anyway. And if I fall, it's on me, because I've made a decision that that's what I want to do, because I'm not allowing anything to hold me back from doing what I want to do. So I think ultimately it has to be up to the person. But also I think that if they need help or support, they shouldn't be afraid to ask, because that's the other thing. When I first came back, I had to have so much support, even Quinn having to cut up my meals, because I was unable to even cut a meal up or hold a teacup properly, because it was just too heavy. I was just so weak. So ultimately you shouldn't be afraid of, if you need help, then ask for help. People either say, oh no, I can't do that, if they're scared that they might hurt you. But I think most people should have some form of decency, that they're like, yeah, no, that's fine, I can do that for you, to enable people to continue.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, inclusion is really what there should be.
Yeah.
So ParaUnity, I mean, in many ways, I guess, here tonight, for instance, or on the build up to this particular talk, a lot of people would have felt the pressure of what ParaUnity means. In particular, it's very relevant to ASSAP right now. There is certainly divisions about how issues should be solved. Some people want answers done yesterday. Some people want actions done yesterday, and they can't happen. And I feel that pressure, because I feel
actively responsible and I should do something, but I'm bound by the fact I cannot do them. And I find that very difficult. But communicating to those people who are shouting at you or being rude to you, or I find that really difficult and challenging to deal with. And to play the part of neutrality between different tribal groups. I mean, how have you found that yourself? I mean, what advice would you give when there is a tribalism happening within groups, or there's a division? You know, sometimes it's over an opinion, sometimes it's over a perspective like an orb. You know, sometimes it can actually be something more fundamental. I mean, what's the best goal you would get if you were to say, how you guys need to talk to each other? How would you get that to happen?
The thing is, we're very quick to jump on bandwagons. It is human nature, and kind of push the person when they're down. The way I see it, if someone is being argumentative towards you, kill them with kindness. Don't belittle them or talk down to them. Just say, okay, fine. That is your opinion, and you're totally entitled to your opinion. I just think and feel differently to you. And if they still being argumentative and aggressive, then just move away from the conversation. Just because someone wants to talk to you doesn't mean you have to talk back to them. Sometimes you've got to take some time for yourself to reevaluate how you're dealing with the situation. Because if someone's shouting at you, it's natural to shout back. It takes a great deal of constraint and self-control to not rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I get that. There is certainly, you know, divisive personalities, strong convictions. You know, when people, it's my way or the highway. You know,
yeah,
very exclusionary. When actually the truth is, and I've said this to every person, is, you know, we're here because we have a passion for the paranormal. We're here because we love the stories of the anomaly. They interest us. They've got us to the table because those topics are fascinating to us. Why are we arguing about this? Heck, I know that you might want it to be done that way. We want to do it this way, but actually, I still love you.
Yeah,
You're someone I care about because we love the topic that we're interested in. So let's get over that. Let's just be together. But if some people, you know, different matter. But before I get into these questions, I actually like to share something with you.
Okay.
So you know, when you were showing your you mentioned ChatGPT and you mentioned Google and the description it gave you of ParaUnity.
Yeah.
While you were doing that in the chat box, everyone's already seen this. But I asked Grok, you know, which is X's version. And Grok basically is, of course, it's the first Martian from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and so on. So I asked it about what is paranormal unity. And not only did it give me a description, it knew that you and I were going to have this conversation tonight. Because I'm currently logged into X on the ASSAP Paranormal page, right? And I posted earlier that you were indeed going to be our talker tonight. So in the reply that I asked, what is paranormal unity? It's actually, I've put the screenshot of it into the chat box there, and it talks about ParaUnity can be idealistic. Some argue it's tough to achieve because of the diverse personalities and convictions that are found within the paranormal world. It's a buzzword you'll hear at events and paranormal conventions amongst groups trying to foster a sense of camaraderie. Given your current and upcoming interview with Lisa Holmen, who is deeply tied to this community, she might have her own take on what paranormal unity means to her work, especially being a paranormal consultant at her time with the Jamaica Inn. Maybe you should ask her be more specific to talk about the Jamaica Inn. So it knew and responded that we were going to have this conversation tonight. AI is almost too scary.
It really is, yeah.
So Chris here asks the first question, I guess, is have you found during your years investigating that your approaches have changed and developed? And if so, how have they changed?
They have changed. I have grown as an investigator. As I stated in my talk, when I first started, absolutely everything was paranormal. It took me a long time and meeting a lot of great people to realise that there is another explanation for a lot of these things. So yeah, I have changed, and I never bought any bits of kit. I have my torch, I have a pad and a pen, and that is all I take with me to investigations now. I don't have all the beepy boppy bits of kit that a lot of us have. I did intend to purchase some bits of kit, but as time's gone on, I'm just thinking, I actually don't need it. I don't need it.
Well, Andy Guy would argue with you. You need lots of pieces of kit.
Yeah.
So Tony Little's made a few comments here. I'd actually like to read the comments as well as the questions because I think they're very relevant to what we're talking about. And of course, this is going to go out on Spotify and on YouTube, so a lot of people will just be listening to this as well. So in my experience, ParaUnity means a rejection of skeptical thinking, where those who offer rational, mundane explanations for phenomena are harassed, bullied, banned from communities. Those I have encountered who wave the Paranormal Unity banner use the label to deny discussion and push disagreement as bullying. Have you found that too?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I have said it better myself.
Like Karen obviously quotes onto that. That's an interesting viewpoint. So that's his 20 years of experience, obviously, in the field of an interest in the paranormal. So being a paranormal consultant, as I saw you phrase yourself, you've worked on historic to preserve heritage of sites. I know
Yes.
That's what Karen's talked about quite in depth. So what's one historical location that you're most proud of helping and why? And are any other locations out there you'd like to bring under your banner as something that you would like to look after?
So we are in talks with other coaching in hotels. One of them should go live within the next month. I can't disclose too much about it because we're still trying to dot the I's and cross the T's, as it were, but that should be out in the next couple of months or so. I would have to say it would be the Talbot Hotel in Oundle, which was my first trip back after treatment to the paranormal world. When we arrived, we were met by a lovely chap called Josh, and we went into the Westgate Suite. And he said, I really don't like it in here. I will not come in on my own. I always have someone with me. And he joined us for the investigation. We showed him that it's not scary. Forget what you see on the TV. There's nothing scary to do with the paranormal. The only thing that you're scared of is your mind playing tricks on you. That's all it is. At the end of the night, he is now no longer scared of going in the Westgate Suite on his own. And he's got an affinity for the paranormal now. And when we went up there early on in the year, he joined us for the investigation through the night. So I'd have to say the Talbot Hotel in Oundle, just seeing in the space for a few hours the complete turnaround of their member of staff once they realised that forget what you've seen on the telly. Don't get me wrong, the TV programmes have been great because it's brought so many people into the paranormal community who are here for the good. Unfortunately, because of the clickbait culture, which I mentioned, it has had a detrimental effect as well.
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, a good friend of mine who's passed away a couple of years ago, called Sean Mark Simpson, he spoke about the paranormal economy that has grown out of television shows, how locations have taken on board almost as part of the supplementary income is to have, locations with almost a haunted attraction to them, and how that then becomes, even though there may not be anything there, but there's a history that they can sell and so on. And people who do the tours, I mean, I'm as guilty of that as anybody. But he became deeply resentful of the paranormal community to the point where he felt excluded because he thought that everyone else was exploiting everyone's passion. Because if you had an interest in going to a location, they would charge you through the nose to go there.
Yeah,
so he found that as a barrier, and certainly something that perhaps needs to be discussed at a later date. I'm looking down these questions here again. So have you found some people in the paranormal? Oh, that's actually my own question. My apologies. So I made a joke that ghost hunting with one boob.
Yep, that could be my next book, couldn't it?
That's a ghost with one boob. And lots of questions, so lots of comments about support for you and what you've been through.
Oh, thank you.
They're really wonderful messages here. So what advice would you give to someone who's facing a tough time, like your cancer battle, but perhaps is hesitant to explore the unexplained?
I would say the most important thing is remaining positive. Yes, I won't lie, I did have dark days, but when you're going through a dark time, have a support network behind you that you can phone them, and they're gonna, as Corinne will insult me regularly. If anyone who's seen us together, we are like an old married couple. Just have someone that will make you laugh, because humour and laughter is just such a great tonic and medicine. So just keep positive, and just, if you can't think about next week, just think about the next day, just getting through each day the best way that you can.
Yeah, there's a question here from Chris. He says, how did you get the job at the Jamaica Inn? Was it through Karen?
So I had known Quinn and Colin for a few years previous. Quinn was poorly and couldn't attend, so she phoned me up and said, "Oh, I can't go to the Jamaica and we've got an event." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." Me being me, I'm not blonde, but being a bit thick. I went, "Oh no, that's such a shame." And she didn't actually come up with the words, "Would you go instead of me?" And we just she goes, "Yeah, I can't go, I can't go." I'm like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And I went, "Are you asking me to go?" She said, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "Well, why don't you just say, can you do it? Because I'm sorry, don't beat around the bush. Say what you mean." I'm a very, I don't know if you can tell, I'm a very forthright person, and I say exactly what I think and exactly what I mean. It does get me into a lot of trouble, and I do find myself apologising to people for what I have said. I wouldn't intentionally upset or hurt anybody. But yes, I said to her, "Why don't you just ask me?" So it just kind of snowballed from that. It's supposed to be a one-off thing. And then I did a few more, and then about 6 months or so later, I was announced as being part of the team.
Excellent. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, so I guess the question might well have already been answered, but perhaps um, it's worth me asking again. So, disabilities in the paranormal field. I mean, my first thought was when I wrote this question, I was kind of coming at it from a perspective of the risk, right? Where is the risk, and whose risk is it is? When weighing ability versus a risk assessment, I think you gave a really good example where your producer there says, "Hey, maybe you can't go down here," and you'll be the one who's at risk. We don't deal with the health and safety issues, but like there's places that obviously have what is, I guess, in the paranormal field known as active entities or whatever. They are in an environment where they might be a bit not so nice, as it were, not so benevolent. They might be a bit mischievous. I mean, if you are disabled, someone in a wheelchair, someone who has mobility issues, someone who has mental health issues, would whose responsibility is it to be in that position? If you have an interest in ghosts and want to deal with that, or is it the organisations who is at fault for not guarding you from that position? Because you shouldn't be there. We should be the ones guarding you, like ASSAP or SPR, for instance. We wouldn't put you in that position. If you were to be sent like a case, for instance, that's a ghost.
I don't think it's anyone's place to guard someone else. Because at the end of the day, we're all over 18. We all know what we're doing. We all know our own minds. If someone was, for instance, at the castle, I was told you can't do that. I'm like, well, I bloody well am. You watch me. I'm going to do it. Yeah, getting out afterwards was a bit of an issue, but we did it. I'm not still stuck down there. I got out of the jail, and it worked. Because if people say to you, "You can't do that," it makes you more determined to do things which you could put yourself in danger and put others at risk. So I honestly believe, yes, complete the risk assessments because they are required by law, but ultimately it has to be down to the individual. And I do question mental health. That's a whole other topic, and you could go on about mental health all night, because someone who has significant mental health issues could believe that they experience something paranormal and think they're being possessed, when it's just their mind playing tricks on you. So mental health is a completely different ball game in my mind to mobility issues.
Well, I guess it just came under the mental umbrella there of
Yeah.
disability. Just perhaps just if someone has challenges, putting them in a position where, hey, here's a case for you, go and investigate it and come back with us a report. Would an organisation, I'm going to use the example of, say, ASSAP or the Society of Psychical Research or whatever, or paranormal groups go, hey, you can go and investigate this, perhaps not risk assessing the person to put them in that position. That's kind of where I was coming from.
No, you're right. I think you're right. You do need to be mindful of everybody's needs, definitely.
Kieran's mentioned a long comment here, but it's worth saying. Thank you, Lisa. It must have taken you a lot of courage to say what you did. I think ParaUnity would be a great place for us all to live. Perhaps the first step towards that is we treat each other as friends and colleagues, not competitors. And that should include people with disabilities, as hopefully we should be drawn together by our common interest in the paranormal. And I could not say that.
No, that's really good.
Disagreeing with that at all. So I'm coming down these questions and comments here. And again, it's the health and safety does make it difficult. Woodchester, noises heard in person but not on camera. I'm not quite sure what that was in reference to. I guess as we've been talking, people have been commenting as they've been posting there. About the hatred and the bigotry.
and unfortunately it's very rampant. From Nicola there, thank you very much for your talk. It was wonderful and heartfelt. So yes, any more questions as we follow down? No, actually it's been great to see you smiling throughout.
Thank you.
So is there anything you would share personally, that is for those perhaps experiencing that divide, is there any messages you'd give to anyone that everyone should hear?
I think just don't retreat into your shell. If you believe in what you're doing and you are not causing any harm to anyone else, continue what you're doing and just try to include more people to make people more positive instead of being negative. Negativity is so much easier than positivity. So yeah, I think just keep positive. And to be honest with you, if I was to enter the paranormal community now, the way it is today, instead of 15 years ago, I probably wouldn't even entertain it. The way it's changed so much over the years, it has become a breeding ground for bigotry and negativity and bullying.
No, I see that. Thank you very much. As we've drawn these questions that are in the chat box to a close, and we've had a wonderful conversation here, is there anybody from our community right now who's perhaps in the chat who wants to just perhaps unmute yourself and have a chat with Lisa? Is there anything else you want to say from our community who's here? Anyone want to jump in? No, I think we. Oh, Kieran, hello.
Well, what I'd like to say is that I suffer from severe ME, which is a disease that sometimes doctors don't always recognise or because they don't understand it. So I've also been through a real nightmare with that. And my health is a bit better than it was, but it's still pretty fragile. So I go through periods when I can't stand or walk and so on. And every time I go through one of those, I wonder whether, is this the time that I can't be the comeback kid or whatever?
Yeah, I
can
understand
cute phrase I want to use to myself.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from, even though what I have isn't, isn't cancer.
Yeah, but it's still relevant to you, and it's still a debilitating illness that you're suffering. So it is still relevant regardless of what the illness is. If it's affecting your day-to-day life, then I'm sorry to hear that you have flare-ups like that. It must be quite problematic for you. But so you're okay now? Your health's okay at the moment?
It's never okay, but it's better than it was, which is something.
Yeah.
That I'm grateful for, and in those better times I can do things like this, and that's really what I live for during the bad times, is being able to do things when I'm that bit better and I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
Lisa, I have a question.
Yeah, sure, John, go ahead.
Re your cancer, are you frightened of what it may bring? Because I am scared of even getting cancer.
Okay.
Even though I haven't got it, I'm scared of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. And to not be scared about the future, I would be an absolute fool. So what I do is I just live each day as it comes, because that's the only way I can continue to do things that I enjoy doing. If I was to sit back and worry that what's going to happen, I probably wouldn't do anything. So I just put it to the back of my mind and just continue the best I can, trying to lead a full life and make as many positive memories as possible. Yeah, so try not to dwell would be my advice, and just do what you enjoy doing and have fun doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, John. I think in many ways, these webinars are really helpful for that, because I'm not sure, some people, this might be their only paranormal outlet on a weekly basis. There might be a passion for them, and this might be their only opportunity to get together, talk with like-minded people, to listen to a conversation that's engaging, that's live, that's entertaining, fun, chatful, and interesting. That might be their only opportunity once a week to listen to something like this. So, it's a great opportunity for ASSAP also to be reaching out in that way to people and other groups. other conversations that are happening, other webinars that are happening. They're great because heck, we can talk about the things that we have passion for.
Yeah.
There
Caroline.
was some talk about Woodchester Mansion.
Yes.
So I could just mention briefly that I remember years ago when I was there and we did an overnight investigation following an ASSAP training day that I was helping at. I remember one phenomenon that happened was that for the team in the cellar, I wasn't in that team at the time, I was upstairs, but what we were told was the team in the cellar experienced stones materializing near the ceiling,
Yeah.
raining down on the floor.
Yeah.
So that's another phenomenon that seems to happen there.
Yeah, you remind me. Yeah, no, you're right. That does happen quite frequently there, actually. The thing is,
Uh-huh.
I've done so many investigations in so many different venues. It's difficult for me to remember what I've experienced where. But yeah, you've reminded me that has been witnessed, and stones being rolled across the floor as well downstairs in the cellar.
Yeah.
That's been witnessed as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. I love it there.
Yes. There was an awful lot of, I think that the workmen working on it when I was there, this was many years ago, I sort of abandoned the work because they got too scared about the haunting activity. Did they get the reconstruction of the place going again?
I don't think so. Last time I went, I want to say last year, I think I went there last year, the scaffolding was still up. So I don't think there's been a lot of progress. I think it's one of those things that because of the historic nature of the building not being completed, I don't think they will ever complete it. They will just maintain it in the order it is at the moment.
Yeah.
Because who knows why all the workers down tools and left. I don't think anyone knows why they just decided not to continue the building. Was it a lack of money? Were they scared about haunting? Was there a death? Who knows?
Mm.
Yeah.
Caroline, do you want to take up the mantle here?
Yeah, lovely. Again, Lisa, thank you so much on behalf of ASSAP.
Oh,
I do, however, have one thing to say before I close this evening down. The new premises that you guys have got, and it's going to be opening up soon.
Mm-hmm.
She's grinning. Is this going to be the place I had my first ever proper paranormal experience in a hotel? Is that the place?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Corinne, nod. Shake. I want to be in on the first investigation, girls. I've got so much in that place. It's incredible.
Yeah, once we know exactly what's happening with the venue, we will let you know, okay?
It was one of the most terrifying nights of my life. That's why I don't like being in four-poster beds anymore, but we'll talk more about that at another time.
Okay.
Apologies if anybody heard snoring. It's not Martin or myself that have nodded off. I've got my very old dog who's right by my feet, and he's very loud with his breathing at the moment. So it was an incredible talk, Lisa. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
I do want to bring it down a little bit though, and be sensible and serious about what I'm about to say. So I don't know how many of you this affected at the beginning of the evening, but we had a fake person enter the webinar. And it was particularly ironic for a night where we're talking about ParaUnity. They entered under Christian Lander's name and changed their name to Kieran Farrell, to which they were not very pleasant with what they wrote. I blocked them, so they can't return again this evening. I don't know how long that block will last, but just to inform people that if anybody does attempt to get into these webinars and cause mayhem and disruption, they will be blocked and they will be removed from ASSAP membership. But it's not the community we want to breed. And I'm pretty disappointed that if it affected anybody's enjoyment of this evening. So apologies for that. I did try to get around it by contacting Christian Lander direct, but he was away from his screen temporarily at the point of where I saw Christian trying to get back in again. So apologies about that, everybody. So thank you again, Lisa. I'm sorry to bring it down at the end there, but I was disappointed and think it needed to have something said at the point of saying good evening to everybody.
Yeah, so what happened there is that I wanted to go and partner's obviously in the other room, and she might have turned on the the Chromecast. So I wanted to go and double check. When I saw myself had entered the room, and I'm like, oh, maybe she's gone to check. So I went and checked, and like, no, I've got my mobile phone is on airport mode, so no, it wasn't me who entered. And of course, I'm hosting under my own name, so I'm like, oh, so I was just like, okay.
I will investigate it a bit more, but apologies that happened. Anyway, bringing it back to the positiveness that we've enjoyed for the rest of this evening. Next week, we have another thought-provoking talk by Mark English. Looking forward to that as well. Ghost hunting, is it a waste of time? So that's going to be our podcast webinar, our talk next week by Mark English. So, Christian, anything else that we need to remember for next week?
Magazine to come, anomaly to come. Keep an eye out on your doormat over the next month or so. You should be pleasantly surprised.
Thank you. And from us at ASSAP again, thank you. Lisa, we'd love to have you back in the future.
Oh, thank
Get
you.
writing, keep writing. You've got a talent and you need to be able to push it through. It was Madam here, Corinne, who got me into writing. So I imagine she's having the same effect on you as well for the Paranormal. We'd love to have you back in a few months' time.
Oh, thank you so much. It was lovely. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for coming this evening, and we look forward to seeing you next week when we have Mark English. Take care. Don't have nightmares.